What's good, party people? This I'm having yet again, but this one is this one is awesome because one of the obviously we had the UFC kind of pomp and circumstance, but I mean around the weekend I got in my DMs from Joe Rojas of the Beyond the Joel podcast this video of this dude like literally having his ear pretty much ripped off, right? And I was like, and I looked and I watched it three times and I was like, oh shit, it's Johnny Campbell. And
Oh
I
my
mean, one of the stars of this MMA weekend, I think, has to be Johnny Campbell because in every whether it be an Instagram post, YouTube, like Facebook shares and shit like that, I think you're kind of hedging on like triple digits in the number of people that have viewed the closing moments of your fight. And Johnny Campbell, it is a honor and privilege to having you back here at According to Woods.
I'll get out of town, Mr. Woods. I appreciate it. I really enjoy being here. This is, super fun to be on. So thank you so much for having me.
Man, no, the pleasure is all mine, my man. But like, I mean, I'm getting giddy as I'm saying this because, like, I mean, this is exactly kind of what I kind of envisioned because, like, there was kind of a way of kind of deciphering the information, like the way that I took it in. It was like, oh, this is this gnarly fight. Oh, it's happening in Brazil. Oh, this dude gets his rip ear off. And actually, it's a fourth level of like, oh shit, it's Johnny Campbell. That's literally how it went
Right.
for me. And I was just like, I, I actually felt a bit giddy because I mean I know that you were trying to get not only fights like most fighters in this kind of 2020 kind of atmosphere, but also the fact that I mean it was an international fight and it was a title fight. So I'm like, as somebody that I mean, I didn't know, and I should have like checked the socials a little bit more invasively. But like, I didn't know you had the fight, and then I didn't know you were going to Brazil. Like, again, I was just like, that is the guy that this shit should be happening to. And again, it raises the prestige of the promotion, Taura MMA. So shout out to Taura. This was the 11th incarnation of Taura, and you can check them out on Fox Sports. Pretty much everywhere. But my goodness, like I mean, you were fighting on the undercard of like Bigfoot Silva, and like this is crazy. And I was just like, of course, Johnny Campbell's the guy to be the fucking co-main event. It makes perfect sense.
Right. I know. It was unreal. So, I mean, 2 weeks notice. I was at a grappling tournament 2 Saturdays before, and um, Mike Pulver, my manager, I'd say probably and boss through Cage Titans. He said, "Do you want to fight down in Brazil in 2 weeks against this, a BJJ killer, Ari Frias?" I said, "Definitely sign me up." Once Ari looked me up, it sounds like he respected me enough. He was supposed to be fighting for the interim title. Oh no, he was supposed to be fighting for the title, and I think the champ had to pull out with a rib injury, maybe. And he was like, "I think that Cupcakes is suitable to fight for the interim title. Do you that would he want to do that?" And it was like no hesitation whatsoever. Absolutely, let's go for it. And I mean, he's an excellent fighter, but I felt more than equipped to take him out, and it just did not go perfectly. Or I mean, in some way it went perfectly, but the experience was so perfect and memorable. And I mean, it was one of my highest honors to date. And I mean, it sounds like I've earned myself almost a position in Torah now, and they're talking to me already about January, and I have a feeling I'll be taking somebody out down in Florida for them, and then moving like right back up the ranks. I really think this is just helping my stock, really. And even though I didn't get the win, it's almost like building anticipation because people could see that I was ready and willing to get in there with one of the best guys on short notice. Made weight 135, no issue. Travel for 24 hours. It's like, man, let's see what this dude can do. And then it's just like, we're just building anticipation. So when I get in there, everyone can expect explosions in January. I cannot wait. It's kind of like I have blue balls for fighting right now. It's like I was so close, and then I just had to like stop. So yeah, on to the next one.
No, 100%, 100%. And Jesse Velasquez has a question, but Jesse, well, I guess we'll get to
Oh,
that.
Jesse.
Yeah, but we'll get to that. But I mean, this is cool because obviously, I just had on the CEO of Fearless Women MMA yesterday, and they ran an all women's amateur card in Mexico about a month ago, and they said that in terms of the precautions for COVID, like I
Yep.
mean, Mexico, yeah, they don't play. And it sounds like Brazil doesn't play either. Like they got everybody tested. I mean, we're obviously seeing what the UFC is doing, in terms of whether it be Fight Island or UFC Apex, and the stringent testing that goes on. And I mean, you
Yep.
said like 2 weeks, so I mean, literally right from the jump, you were going through the procedures, right?
Yeah, basically. They took, and I guess away a risk. They tested everybody, but they signed the fight and shipped me down there. I didn't really have to go through too much. I just need to stay safe and not get sick, basically. So typical socially distancing, masks everywhere, doing what I got to do to just train and be ready for that fight. And I did, everything that needed to be done, and everything worked out. My two corner men, Cage Titans, Gods, Mike Pulver, and then Richie Santiago, who is, Dana White Contender Series veteran and Cage Titans announcer. I mean, he's a stud everywhere. So it was an honor to have both of those guys in my corner. And they, obviously tested negative for COVID too. So yeah, everything was so professional and so perfectly handled. I mean, Toro, it felt like I was at the UFC or something. I mean, it was outstanding. So yeah, what they're doing is fantastic.
That's tremendous. And John Parker says, the man, the myth, the freaking legend. And I mean, you were before, but I mean, I think the performance that you basically, kind of emitted to the world proves that even more so now, Monday after than it did, I mean, I guess the week going into it.
Yeah, it's just my career is definitely going to be defined by perseverance and never ever stopping. And I mean, I fought Matt Doherty back in whenever it was 28 like 12 I think, and
Yeah,
he
yeah.
takes me down, awkward angle, my shoulder dislocates, and then I finished the round with a dislocated shoulder like 5 seconds after it happens. It's like Dan Mergliata is the referee. He's like, he knows exactly what's going on. He's like, Cupcakes, you all right? You need me to stop it? And I'm like, nah. I'll figure this shit out. Give me a minute. And I never get it figured out. The doctors have to stop it. And now it's just now my ear gets taken off. It's like every single one of my losses, they're just learning experiences. They're just scars. And dude, they're just, yeah, man. We talked about it a little bit. There are people that I know that make me look like just an absolute pussy as far as their life and how they are able to handle adversity and whatnot. And yeah, I'm just kind of like doing my thing and going, and and people really like a story like that as much as people love perfection and whatnot. Like there are just so many different ways to be great, and I think that what I've done in my career is displaying it in another way, and I just need to get back on another streak and just keep showing my skills.
Yeah, and it's crazy because you were talking about, like, the perseverance and what have you, and especially in 2020, if there was any time that we all kind of need something to kind of help us persevere and go through the kind of like tides of life, this is it. But I mean, realistically, when you look at like injuries like what you sustained, at Torah 11, and then that shoulder dislocating. It's I don't think that kind of defines it. I mean, in some ways, yes, that's going to get the views on the algorithms of whatever social media sites that they're essentially posted to. But I mean, I think it does raise the profile. But I don't think anybody looked at you even less. And in an essence, you actually gained more. Um,
Pretty
let's
much.
say if yeah, because let's say if he would have finished you, or you would have finished him, and what have you. Yes, it's a finish, but it's just like I don't think it would have got the stock raise on both of you, like what happened. And it kind of sucks that it happened to you, and you were the beneficiary of why. But even still, hey, fucking cool story, bro.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm a huge proponent. I think we talked about it probably the first time we spoke of the law of attraction and how everything is meant to be and whatnot. And um, yeah, this is just, I have goals and aspirations and things I want to achieve. And the universe felt like this was the best possible thing that could happen to me in order to get me to where I want to go. And if I wanted to, I could stay on the negative and be like, fuck. Another loss, another this, that. Why did this happen to me? Oh, he had to punch me just at this perfect angle. Like that just cannot be because that's just going to slow me down. I feel like I'm in a pinball machine and I just got bounced into like one of those bonus slots and I'm like just jiggling and just getting huge points right now. And it would be so easy to just be like, oh, damn, I'm stuck. I can't move anywhere. What's going on? But I'm just like gaining points right now like crazy. And when I get launched out, man, I'm going to go fucking off. So I'm going for high score right now, and this is only just helping me. So I'm building a fan base. People want to see the guy that doesn't give a fuck about losing an ear, and I'm excited to be that guy. And I just can't wait to finally be able to put hands on someone. So it's been 8 months, and I'm just so excited to get back in there, even with my ear like all stitched up. I can't even wait. I'm going to be in the gym tonight doing something. So I'm so pumped.
Absolutely. And it says that man's reality is his thought. Uh, so, I mean, you are definitely living proof of that, and love the mindset of a warrior,
Thank you,
So,
Jesse.
yeah, absolutely. So now, eh, okay, so we were kind of talking off air, right? Because theoretically speaking, whether it be, the Bushido and Pancrase of Japan, or the Vale Tudo, no holds barred fights in Brazil. I mean, we're talking about one of the meccas, right, of what we now know as MMA, right? You go down. And I mean, that experience, not only are you getting the fight, right? And not only is it a title fight, I mean, it was just like talking about the stars aligning, right? Like you're getting a title, interim title fight. You're fighting again after an 8 month layoff because of everything that's going on in the world. And then you get to do it in Brazil. People, I mean, literally people that know, the sport of mixed martial arts probably better than anyone, right? And that what when you got the call, right? When the manager gave you the call and said this is what's going on, like how elated were you, and then how impressed were you when you finally got it? Did it fulfill your expectations of what you thought of fighting in Brazil would be like?
Yeah, I mean, it blew my expectations away. It was like everything that I would want, and just even more. The experience was incredible. I mean, I get to go down there, essentially all expenses paid. Like, um, and fight in Brazil. I mean, it was like it felt like I was home. I don't know if it's because the elevation is the same or what it was, or I've seen a bunch of pictures. I don't know. It was like incredibly like picturesque in a lot of ways, and yet it felt like I was just at home, like normal life. It was very different feeling. I don't know. It felt like I was from there. Everybody was incredibly nice. I mean, I'm in an arena like in the favelas, for God's sakes, like on the side of a mountain, and you just like you're going up, and it's like houses like stacked on top of each other, and like little markets and stuff, and then all of a sudden there's just like this kind of like big brick building, and it's just like this arena that's just stuck there that this fucking octagon is always erected where they just have fights like every weekend. And now I'm the co-main event where Paul Harris and stuff is on. It's like, I mean, it's like I'm in the back room getting wrapped up, and Jose Aldo's coach is like just chilling, talking to people because he's there to just watch the fights or coach or whatever. I mean, um, it was wacky. There was people who were looking at me like I was somebody, and I felt like I was like in amongst heroes and champions and stuff, and people are looking up at me almost like I am like supposed to be here, and it was like, fuck, man, I've been working so hard to like get to this kind of a spot, and now I'm just here, and it felt like so natural. I didn't feel 1 ounce of anxiety, not goddamn one. There was a couple points of like toughness where it was like, man, can I do this? Yes, I can do this. I can do this. But like, it just felt so normal and like, man, I just, I'm more and more every day. It feels like this is just what I'm born to do, I'm meant to do. And I just, yeah, just staying focused. I just want to get to the top of like whatever the mountain is that I'm climbing. And I just want to like scream off to everybody, like, remember, you can fucking do it. And like, I'm on my way. And I feel like there's a huge surge of energy right behind me. And being in Brazil, I don't even think I can fully put into words what it was like. It was perfect.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. And I mean, to me, and it might feel surreal to you, but I mean, to me, I think it's absolutely fitting, right? Because I mean, with somebody with your experience, the amount of fights that you have, like if it doesn't happen, stories like this and experiences don't happen like this for you, I'm on like, what the hell is it all for? This almost feels like, like Tito Chuck 3, right? If those two dudes couldn't make it outside of like the MMA bubble and transition to other things, then what the hell are we all doing? And so like to me, I think it's absolutely fitting. Now you mentioned the fact that like you felt like you were meant to be here, and I had a similar experience, at UFC 209, and shout out to Albert the Warrior Morales for it, because you know, I, he basically bestowed on me a ticket, and first time at T-Mobile for UFC and everything like that. And like, I literally went like in the middle of the night, went from California to Vegas. Like I had dinner with my family, gotten off of work, had dinner with my family, and then we were out. And then he shoots me a text, and he's like, "Yo, you won this like contest. I've got a ticket for you. Get your ass to Vegas." And I was just like, I didn't know. I didn't have a car. I didn't have whatever. Trying to figure it out. And then like in the like at probably like midnight, my wife goes, "Hey, there's a Greyhound. Take an Uber to the Greyhound and just go." Right.
Nice.
And yeah, and then I mean that, and then I didn't sleep the whole way. Like this lady was kind of meth sweating next to me, and I was like, I mean, it's cool that this damn bus in the middle of the desert, in the middle of the night, has Wi-Fi, and I'm probably going to use it so much because like she might jack my
Oh
phone.
man,
She might
fuck
jack my phone. And
yeah.
then I walked from like, if you know Vegas, like from the Greyhound station at like the plaza in Fremont Street, and I walked all the way to New York, in like, it was nuts in the middle of March and everything, right? But didn't sleep, had this incredible experience. Like when I finally did sleep, because Albert was like, "Hey, where are you staying?" And I was like, "Bro, I literally jumped on the Greyhound when you said you had the ticket. Like, let's fucking do this thing." And he's like, "No, you coming with me?" So like, I slept in his room, and then I wake
Nice.
up. Yeah, I wake up, and it's kind of crazy because like here's Kenny Johnson of Bolt Wrestling, and like the coaches and Jason House sleeping on the floor, and for whatever reason, like I'm sleeping on the bed. Like everybody's bunked out on the floors, whatever. But at that moment, I was just like, I need to earn this. I need to earn this. And I wasn't even doing the podcast or interviewing or whatever, but like I was like, I need to earn this. This is where I belong. And this right here, it kind of shows me, and thankfully and they all remain great friends to this day. But it was just one of those watershed moments where like, yes, I'm meant to be here. Yes, it's going to take work, but everything that I'm going to do from here on out is going to take work. Just like you, it takes work, but you're meant to be here. And it's been a 4-year run since then, but it's been fun every time. And getting to do this with people such as yourself, I mean, it's the greatest honor that you can have.
Yeah, that's what everybody can have that moment too. It's like it's just about I don't know, finding the thing that kind of sparks or whatever it is. And it's all perspective, and so many people will kind of go through life saying, I wish that I could tell that story like you guys, and I wish that I could have something. And it's like, man, I don't know, whatever it is, a book or a documentary or a fucking podcast, whatever it is, something's gonna, light their fire a little bit more or whatever it is. Some people are on it and just don't have like that mental, I don't know, maybe confidence to be like, I'm going for it. I'm gonna put in the work and do it. But everybody can. Everybody can. I love it. And I hope that we can, obviously spread it as well, because as awesome it is to kind of feel like we know we're on the right path, it's super important to give back and to help everybody else get on their path and just be on the same page and helping humanity go forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. And everybody it thinks that it's a really negative time, this year for everyone, and to a large extent it can be, right? But there has always been some sort of strife throughout history, right? I mean, the Colosseums and people getting fed to tigers, and like there's famines and whatever, so like for the most part we're stuck at home with Wi-Fi. So I mean, in retrospect, like we're gonna figure it out, right? Unless, like, I don't know, the aliens or robots figure it out first. But in any event,
All right. It's
we're
close.
yes, we're okay.
AI, Google.
Yeah, I mean, shit. I mean, we're using it right now to this very thing. What was it like? I want to say back in 2003 when I first pursued broadcast journalism. I mean, this was a pipe dream. Like everybody had to have FCC regulations, and you couldn't say this and whatever, and you had to like toil away for 5 to 15 years at a particular radio station as an intern, making
Yeah,
absolutely no money. You got bartered. So if you wanted to eat, you did a 30-second commercial for whatever grocery or restaurant chain that was in the area, and you would get like a maybe a $50 gift card. And with that, that's how you ate. And you were at a almost like a trap house, for 15 other DJs that were trying to do the same thing. And you had no access to the car other than like the street team where you're passing out bumper stickers. So this like whole broadcast and not doing the FCC thing, like it was a pipe
right.
dream back in '03. But again, it was only within a matter of years that it all got turned on its head. I think with like Adam Carolla and Adam Curry, respectively, from MTV, and then a couple years after that, Joe Rogan does it, and I mean, here we are. So it's kind of cool.
Seriously, I mean, crazy, crazy history and how things sped up. I feel like Howard Stern, guys like that, some of these people who got like huge contracts for different like satellite radio and stuff. It just like people love communication. It's just something that human beings need to do, and especially with whatever it is, interesting people. I mean, Joe Rogan has the fucking greatest minds in the planet, so I mean, it's a little bit like easier for him because everybody wants to know what his guests have to say, but it's like everybody wants to fucking learn and know and whatever it may be. It's just a perfect thing to be doing to help and give back while also kind of creating a potential money stream for yourself. It's too good. It's like, yeah, girls on Instagram or whatever showing their booties and things, and it's like, yeah, they're getting money, but like how much are they really like impacting the world? Good for them. I'm happy they're successful. But I think that something like this, a podcast where you can just bring different, interesting people, into a vast audience is just such an awesome thing to be doing. And it's not easy. I know that from the little bit of broad, like, I guess like creation that I've done, it's freaking tough. So for you to just to be going at it and loving it the way that you do, it's a beautiful thing. I see it.
I appreciate that, especially it coming from you. But I mean, we're talking about all things like, broadcast and social media and all of this stuff. Again, one of the things that I mean, literally took like, I mean, I think I got hyped up for DFC 254 after seeing the clip of you and your fight and whatever, and then knowing again, going through all this emotions of figuring out, hey, it's you. Like my friend is fighting in fucking Brazil for a title. Like, I was like, shit, right? So I mean, we'll get to the Jesse's deal, but I gotta ask, right? how much did it hurt? Because it looked like you were more disappointed that the ref stopped it, and the fact that your ear was injured. You're tough. You're a tough motherfucker. Either way, respect.
Man, it didn't really hurt at the moment. It was just like my body knew something was off, but my mind was focused on another task. So I was kind of like, he hit me with a shot, and all I really remember is thinking, wow, that kind of hurt more than I would have expected. It was like, it was almost like sharp. It was like he kind of hit me with a shot that I didn't anticipate hurting. And then all of a sudden, I'm kind of like stumbling backwards. And as I like half shot him for the takedown, I was thinking, like, shit, that kind of smarted a little bit. And then he like kind of transitioned to my back real fast. I mean, I don't know how hard he was going for the finish. It looked like he was going pretty hard. I anticipated him being far stronger than he was. I felt like no issue defending his choke. He wrapped up a pretty tight body triangle. I got right to my knees, started defending, and the ref kind of looked at me funny. And then I looked at the ground and I saw blood, and it was like, damn, how did he cut me already? And then my body was kind of like, something's up on the left side of your head. Like something's up. I'm not, I can't, I couldn't like put enough focus on it to know exactly what it was, but something fell off, and I'm kind of defending. And then the ref comes in, and it was like, okay, I must be cut because I'm bleeding, and now the ref's coming over here. And then when he ever started like waving it off, it was like, no, 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 dude. It just took me like 2, 3 days to get down here. I cut fucking 14 pounds. In like, I can't even tell you the location where I cut weight. I mean, they don't do saunas down in Brazil. They don't have like saunas and gyms and stuff. They don't have like Planet Fitness really. So they have these motels where people go and hook up at, and you can rent the hotel for like 12 hours at a time, and they have a hot tub and a sauna. And we went in there and rented it out, and three dudes are in there sweating ass, and I sweat out, 14 pounds nearly in like a 12-hour period. Whatever it was, Thursday night, Friday morning, or Friday, Wednesday night, Thursday morning, weighed in on weight. It was like one of the more difficult weight cuts, mainly I think because of the travel, more so than anything else. I was pretty well prepared. My body was perfect for it. But those last 2 pounds getting down to championship weight, 135 even, oof, man, it was not easy. And now all of a sudden, I've been fighting for 40 seconds. I'm feeling good because I'm like, I got black belts on my back and I don't even feel threatened. And now the ref is calling it off. And he's like, yeah, your ear. And it exploded. And I'm like, exploded? I'm like, what? What are you talking about? He's like, yeah. So I kind of like I touch it a little bit, and at that point, I recognize like, dude, it's hanging off. It doesn't really hurt, you know. It was like, hurt is a really strong word. Like with my shoulder dislocating, I've had, man, I as an idiot younger person, I put my arm right through a car window one time and just cut the ever living shit out of my right arm, cut one of the heads of my tricep right off, severed my ulnar nerve, which left me with like somewhat paralysis in my pinky, no feeling in my pinky. I lost about maybe 30% of my grip strength that I had to fucking work hard to get back. And now they put about 45 to 50 stitches in that thing. Had to stitch together my tricep again. That hurt. I thought I was going to die that night. It was a similar thing. Like the sensation was, it was there, but like pain, it didn't really hurt. It was just odd. It hurts more now, to be honest. In the moment, it wasn't all that bad. And it just felt like, wow, how did this happen exactly? And I just had fun with it as much as I could. We walked out of the cage. The doctors stitched it up. They did an incredible friggin' job, amazing job. Um, and I just cracked jokes for like 35 minutes while they were stitching it up. And it got to the point where they were all laughing at every joke I said. And then after about 10 minutes, they were just like not even responding to me anymore because they were just like, all right, dude, shut the fuck up. It was just like, oh man. Every once in a while, I'd get them again and get them laughing. But oh man, it was just, I mean, it was just like that, like I said, perfect opportunity to just be like, life is perfect and this is a good thing. And it was unpleasant. You know, they shot me up with like 15 shots of Novocaine. They'd like shoot me up with like 8 shots and then they'd start stitching and then like places wouldn't be fully numb yet. So then they'd be sticking it back in my ear. The guy, I'm like, oh, you guys are going to shoot me up with anesthetic. He's like, yeah, and it's gonna hurt really bad. I'm like, dude, like not just like, oh, it'll be a pinch. No, it's gonna hurt really bad. I'm like, oh fuck, this is fucking crazy. Literally I had a sheet over my head, but like people were just coming in. It was like I was at a party and I was like throwing up on the fucking toilet or some shit. People would just pop in, like snap a picture and then leave. It's like random ass people that come in and be like, yo, can I get a picture? Bam, bam. Sending it off to their friends. I actually had a woman on Instagram leave a comment that said, hey, my boyfriend's friend showed me the video. I'm pregnant and I passed out when I saw the video. She's like, don't worry, I'm okay. But I hope you're okay. It's like, I mean, it's just craziness. It's craziness. Yeah. Ultimately, it did not really hurt in the moment. I think my focus was just too hyper focused on Ari Farias. So, but it did feel awkward. It felt like my ear was hanging off my head.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny because you were mentioning like, oh, your balance is off, and something in your body was just like, oh, wait, there's something like kind of not right. What the hell are we doing? But and I mean, this is one of those things, right? Where if we've got female significant others, right? They're always telling us that us guys we're kind of one track brain, kind of one sided and whatever. But this is one of those instances where that absolutely worked out, right? Or
Definitely.
compartmentalizing, like the pain versus like what I have
Yep.
to do and everything like that. Like that
Yep.
was it's perfect, and to which I say, like, I mean, what was the kind of sequence, at least what you saw of like when the injury occurred? Was it, I mean, because we saw in recent years, Leslie Smith, when she was still in the UFC, she
Yep.
had the fight and she got punched right in the ear and the damn thing exploded. So I didn't see that from the video that I saw, but was it a punch or was it, because I thought maybe his bicep might have, caught you and,
Yep.
kind of did like a Mick Foley and kind of took your ear off.
It was weird. So I had decided before the fight I was going to throw calf kicks at him. First calf kick I threw was like money, landed right on the button. I was like, oh yeah, that is what we're doing tonight. So I throw like two more calf kicks right away. Right away, the second one I missed and spun around, and he was just anticipating the third one. I jabbed and threw another calf kick. I like half connected with it, and he blitzed. As he blitzed, I like saw it coming, so I started to kind of duck, and his right hand kind of came downwards as my head came up, and it was just, it was a pretty good shot, but it grazed like just right. And I believe that it was like literally the first punch that he threw, and it just pulled down on the cauliflower and just separated, like the top of the ear stayed right where it was, and the cauliflower literally just ripped. And then I think it kind of stayed there for a second. And then in the first scramble, it just like fell out of the cup and then was just like dangling there. So yeah, it was crazy. I'm pretty sure first punch, if you go back and you watch it just right, you can see that it like scrapes almost and just separates it off. Is like just perfect.
No, 100%. And John Parker goes, he watched the video. If the ear didn't happen, do you think you would have transitioned through the choke attempt as it looked like an anaconda, maybe like a body lock? It looked like you have enough room to kind of roll out and transition it to an open guard. So, I mean, that's and the same kind of assessment I had. I mean, it looked like you were more disappointed that it happened, but I mean, you weren't in a bad position, quote unquote.
Yeah, I mean, I felt super good. I mean, if you watch my fights, I have a really good defense from the back, and I knew that he was so dangerous if he got on my back. So, I mean, I was fully prepared to have him there. And I mean, just the fact that it happened like 10 seconds into the fight is partially because my ear got freaking ripped off my head anyway. But yeah, I was there defending his choke. It felt like, man, I mean, I have tons of respect for him, but I felt like he was so nervous before that fight. He wouldn't look me in the goddamn eye. He was came out the initial first like 10 seconds. He's backing up, and I don't think that was the game plan for him. I just then he was on my back, and he was immediately kind of raking my face, but like at no point did I feel like he was strong. It's like world championship black belt. It's like if he goes for that choke, you'd think maybe bam, he goes right on it, either crushes the face or gets right underneath the chin because he has some like magical wizard skills or something. But it just felt like I had a normal person on my back. He had a full body triangle, but I didn't even notice it. Like if you watch the video, he puts the body triangle on. I immediately transition to my knees and like crunch myself up, which it should be kind of difficult, and it was not. I mean, oh yeah, it's like so easy to be like this would have happened or that would have happened, but I felt like that was just like the perfect beginning. He was almost definitely going to just expend a fudge ton of energy right there trying to finish me. And almost definitely, I feel like I either transition out of that or he lets me kind of into top guard or whatever it may be. He's phenomenal at going for submissions, but he tends to like go for them, maybe doesn't get them, and just kind of rides it out, goes right to the next position. I think he would have just like gone for the choke, not got it, transitioned to bottom guard, probably rolled for like a leg lock or something. Almost definitely we're back on the feet probably 10 seconds later. But it's so hard to say, you know. That's why I just can't wait to get back in there in January for them down in Florida so I can really display what I got going on because it just did not feel like I even got a chance, really.
Yeah, and it's weird, right? Because like I mean, hate to kind of draw upon, at times it can be the overused kind of Mike Tyson quote about like, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, right? Because I mean, theoretically speaking, whether it be amateur or pro, like I've seen professionals essentially. I mean, I mean, even like amateur black belts, amateur fighter, but like they're black belts, right? And they might, get KO'd by, a white or a blue belt, or, essentially, they even get submitted because, punches open the guard of a black belt, different than, what you would see in IBJJF or a Naga tournament and what have you,
Yep.
right? So it's a completely different dynamic. So it's funny how that's why I think mixed martial arts is a martial arts within itself, because like you could have black belts and what have you in other disciplines, and essentially, they could be neutralized and become even. Of course, there are some advantages and disadvantages that certain positions will ultimately leave you, but I mean, if you, theoretically speaking, the sport of MMA or the practice of MMA kind of like evens everybody out in a way that I don't think like NFL or NBA or other professional sports do. You get a guy just playing it in his, backyard in basketball, and you put him against like even the most novice, NBA player, and it's, I mean, a world of difference. But I mean, in MMA, it's funny how, like just something as almost simplistic as strikes can kind of throw everything all up in the air.
Yeah, I know. That's why I love it so much because I can be in there with, I know I have done rounds with and fought guys who are on paper have better jujitsu or boxing or wrestling. And it's just equalized so much by all of the other disciplines coming together. It's like someone can be an incredible wrestler, but now my boxing and my jujitsu is going to be that much more highlighted. And especially like somebody like Ari, I have hella good jujitsu. He's a world champion who's fought with some of the best guys on the planet. But like if we were a UFC game, he might have like 97 submissions or something, but like my submissions are still like 92 and my striking is like a 94 and his is like a 68. It's like it all fucking ends up kind of like working out where, yeah, I just, he, I he's a champion now, but that in a way, I feel like he got a little bit lucky. I think that fight would have been incredibly difficult for him. And I don't know if he gets through it any other way. And it doesn't sound like he wants to fight me because he said that he was sorry that the fight went that way, but he wants to train now. He's like, oh, if I come to the US or you come to Brazil, we should get together and our camp should come together or something. And it's like, no, what do you mean? 40 seconds, blue balls. Like, I'm supposed to beat you up. What are you talking about? But I mean, is what it is. Everything happens for a reason. So I'm just going to focus on me and continue to do what I do. He's going to go fight the champion now. So, I wish him a ton of luck. I think he's a great fucking guy, really. I mean, we had like some words and stuff before the fight. If you watch the weigh-ins, I mean, it's just mainly business. I mean, I like to promote the fight, and I mean, I'm being myself up there, and I don't fake anything. But at the end of the day, that I know that that's what it is. It's a performance, and I'm meant to be entertaining. And I'm gonna go up there, and I'm gonna tell them to suck my dick, and I'm gonna puff my chest, and I'm maybe gonna make some people a little bit upset. But at the end of the day, it's gonna draw people to that fight. And he took everything a little personally, I thought, but I think that he's just better at it than I thought because he was so cool after the fight, and even after the weigh-ins, he was like really cool. So I really appreciate him being who he is, and it's like if I could get my ear could be ripped off by anybody, really, I think he's a pretty cool motherfucker.
I love it. I love it. And I mean, you mentioned the weigh-ins because I definitely, obviously, you could see the entire video on your personal Instagram page. But I mean, let's get into that. Like, what is that mindset? Because like at first I was like, oh wow, he's got the obviously, kind of I float in between, all combat sports, including pro wrestling, where I mean there are, guys like Matt Riddle and gals like Shayna Baszler and what have you, little pioneers of the sport that are making more money in the WWE than they are, doing I guess what most of you is a legitimate sport, right? So
Yeah,
with that all being said, like where does that kind of attitude come from? Because I love it. I'm glad that went the way that it went because like I was just like, oh man, dude, I hope he doesn't do it like a Colby Covington. And there's nothing against Colby Covington is a great fighter. Here's the thing, but I mean, when you go to Brazil and beat arguably one of the greatest like Brazilian-born and mixed martial artists, right? I mean, like in terms of like jiu-jitsu acumen transitioning to MMA, right? And you beat him, and then you say literally to a country that A has rolled out the red carpet for you,
true.
and then B the fact like, hey, you could get murdered on your way back to the damn thing, but you say, hey Brazil, you fucking filthy animals, something to that effect. I'm all like, what are we doing? Like I'm so glad it did go that way, and I know that's not the person that you are, but I mean, you
Yep.
definitely do have a showman aspect to your kind of fight approach. Where does this come from?
Good question. I mean, probably being a class clown, like whatever it may be. I just like the attention, maybe. I don't know, because I just like as a kid, that's what it was. It was like, well, how can I make people laugh, or how can I make people whatever look at me? How can I make people, I don't know, probably happy too. I dig it. I love, whatever the fuck laughing is, this thing that like you get this weird fucking sensation in your body, and then you want to just like tilt your head back, open your mouth, and like make this odd sound that doesn't make any fucking sense. Such a weird thing, laughing. And it's always kind of got me going as a person. And I played hockey growing up, and one of my favorite things was, scoring goals was super fun. People dug it, they all clapped, everyone would be like, yay. But when you ran your body into someone as hard as you can and as fast as you could, and you knocked them over, and people wondered if they were hurt, they would get like orgasmically excited with it, and I loved that. And now you just stick me into the fight game where I get to really pummel somebody and hurt them, and then on top of that, all the drama that happened beforehand is going to even make it more exciting. I just got it right from the beginning. And it took me a little while to get my voice on the mic and to understand like exactly who I was. But yeah, I don't ever want to be somebody like Colby. I understand how to be the heel, but I ultimately want to make the heel still almost like the Joker in a way, or like have a comedic aspect, like to be so over the top that people still know that it's a joke, but man, it feels fucking real. And I love to trick people when people think that I'm really mad or getting angry. Like, I mean, there's this woosah inside of me. I am like a still pond, but I understand the human mind so much that I'm able to ruffle my own feathers in a way that makes everybody think I'm going nuts, but I'm really just calm, cool, and collected underneath. And I'm just like ready to strike. And if you watch me, it's like I'm going kind of ballistic before at the weigh-ins, telling him to, like, that he's gonna sniff my crotch and shit. But then when we're in the fight, it is just like eyes on the prey, and I'm just staring at that man, and he literally would not look me in the eyes because he knew that I was coming to take his soul. And it was, the drama was no longer a drama or a performance anymore. Once the cage door is closed, it is kill mode. And that's the other thing that people like. I'm not going to say I'm going to do stuff and then hug people or hold them down or do what I can to get the decision. They know that ultimately when I'm in there, it really is about kill or be killed. And that's why I just feel like I'm born for this. I love this game. I love every aspect of it. And I love the performance end of it. And I want to stress that it's partly a performance because I want everyone to love who I am. I want to be remembered as being one of the greatest. I don't want it to be tainted by like, well, he was kind of a dick though. I want to be like, I'm the entertainer who also can back it up where so many fighters miss it. They have one or they have the other, or maybe they say they have both, but they're really just kind of a scared little boy inside and they're doing whatever they can to get their W's. I'm here to do both. I'm here to win most of the time, but it's like I'm going for broke and I'm trying to just put memories into people's heads.
No, 100%. And I love the fact that you mentioned like the full on heel, using pro wrestling euphemisms, because I mean, if you follow it, right, when you think about, let's say, The Rock, right, and Stone Cold Steve Austin, or even Randy Savage, right, heel
Yeah,
or face, they didn't really change that much. Good guy, bad guy, they didn't change the presentation all that much, right?
right.
Uh, but if you
True.
talk to either man, obviously, we can't talk to Randy Savage; he's dearly departed. But I mean, when you talk to Stone Cold, I've had kind of brushings with Stone Cold. He really does sound like that, right?
Yep.
The Rock really does. There's no question why he's. I mean, he called himself the most electric man in sports entertainment before, but now he just took the sports and he's just the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. I mean, just entertainment period, right? But
Pretty much.
yeah. So they were basically, themselves, but they just turned the volume way the fuck to 10, even 12 or 15 to, certain aspects of it. But I mean, it's weird because, like, when you see like a Colby or Connor or people like that, most will assume like I'm just gonna fucking trash talk, right? But I mean, we saw the same. I think it was like the red panty night. Who the fuck is this guy?
Yep.
Kind of panel thing, right? We saw Kevin Lee and Michael Chiesa kind of do the same stuff to like lower degrees. I mean, they almost made fools of themselves. And again, that's not to say that Kevin Lee is a bad fighter or Michael Chiesa. Obviously, he's great on the mic because he was covering the UFC this weekend, right, in Abu
True.
Dhabi. They think that much of him for them to, like you, get an all paid
Definitely.
trip to a different country and then also get paid on top of that. There's something to him. But I mean, in that kind of presentation, it wasn't good for him. But like, if you can find a way, if you're quiet, like a silent assassin, right? I mean, obviously the Hitman movies, the Jason Statham Transporter, like you can
Yep.
be that if that's what you are. You don't have to be this loud, boisterous, whatever, And I hate using this analogy because of who it is, but back to like Extreme Championship Wrestling, right? There's a particular Canadian wrestler who lives in infamy for good reason to this day, but Chris Benoit, right? And Chris
Yep.
Benoit hated, talking, right? And what Paul Heyman did, after hours and hours just to try and get 30 seconds out of a promo out of him, Paul Heyman says, fuck it, we're not doing this. Like, whatever. He grabs baby powder, puts it in Benoit's hand, and then just does a fucking slow motion shot up. And it's in the middle of the night, right? In Philadelphia. and the camera draws up, and here's Benoit fucking going like this, and he's supposed to be this technician, right? And
Yep, yep.
powder is rising, you know, and it's an important visual, and that visual alone meant more than any of the fucking 30-second promos that he could have done, even if he did it right. So I mean, it's all about taking who you are, right? If you're silent and you're a tactician of a particular whatever, just turn that up. Like turn that fucking up, because especially with social media, we talked about like the ass selfie Instagram model and their input. But if that shows anyone, right? Anybody could be whatever it is, taking a certain minutia, and it might not be your cup of tea or your friend's cup of tea or even your, you know, anybody watching, but there's going to be somebody that draws to it. There's somebody that, again, like you said, in terms of the overall impact of your life and the impact that you leave on people, the positive impact on people, there's somebody just like you, and even more so now than any other time in history before, in human history before, the ability to reach that person. Let's say, hey, you know what? I'm this type of person or whatever. There's nobody in my neighborhood that's that way. You can connect
Yep.
to somebody on the other side of the road, on the other side of the country, whatever, that's just like you. And then they might be plugged into a whole society of people like you. And
Very
that's the beauty of it. It's just finding who you are and what you are and turning that ship to 10 and making it work for you.
bingo. I think that's what creates so much like depression and anxiety nowadays is people not wanting to be themselves. I went through a whole host of time as a young man where I hated myself. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know really what I was doing, or I felt like I was always wrong, or doing the wrong thing, and it was just like because I looked out at everybody else and I thought like, oh, well, I'd like a relationship like that person has, or I'd like a car that that person has, and I was not ever happy with what I had. I was so hyper focused on outside. It's important to have goals and know what you want, but man, you got to just like really get in touch with who you are. It is so important, so important. And then, yeah, getting connected with like-minded people that want the same things that you want. And like you said, it is so easy with so many different things, podcasts and chat rooms and whatever it is, Zoom calls, and yeah, it's a magical time that we live in, and sometimes it's easy to lose sight. But we are like the most blessed people to ever exist on the earth, probably. And it's so easy to get caught up in the stresses and difficulties, and then man, it's like unfortunate with how many people are depressed, and so suicide rates are freaking going crazy and stuff.
Mm.
And it's literally because they're unhappy with who they are, and yet they are perfect like reflections of God. And if they could just understand that they are literally perfection, then they would never want to do that. And I've been through that. I've wanted to commit suicide and even attempted to more than a couple times in ways. It's like, um, yeah, it's one of the reasons I found MMA. It's like I was literally trying to kill myself with pills the exact same time that I found MMA. And it was just like not a coincidence that I was like trying to get out of this place and simultaneously finding the thing that I was meant to be doing. It's just like, it's man, it's life is perfect and beautiful. And yeah, I think that being yourself is probably the most important thing that we can do. No joke.
No, 100%. But it takes a little time, right? I think it was that Amy Grant song. It takes a little time sometimes, right?
Yeah, yeah,
To get the Titanic turned back around, right? So
yeah.
sometimes it takes a little time, and but when you find it, right? When you find it, you take to it, and it seems like a kind of weird saying, in whether it be jiu-jitsu cultures or MMA cultures, where like, you wear it like jiu-jitsu saved my life. You have it on a rash guard. But I mean, theoretically speaking, that is absolutely true for everyone in it. I mean, shit, I remember the first time I got to roll with Herb Dean, and he goes, you trained before, because I trained at a different school before I attended the one that Fight Academy, which Jesse is also a member of. Um, like when you roll with Herb Dean and he's like, "Hey, you've done this before," and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like that's it. But how many other failures, to get to that point, or even doing interviews and podcasts? It's cool to say, like, I've done broadcasts for international shows and been featured in like what is it, the it's one of those like YouTube kind of sensation. I'll think of it later, but I mean, this dude was like, "Hey, I want to be an MMA fighter," and he trains with like a bunch of like mixed martial arts coaches and takes an amateur
Okay.
fight. And I was
Yep.
actually doing commentary for that fight, and
No
that
shit.
yeah, and it was my commentary debut. That thing on YouTube, I think it's like, and why am I fucking blanking on the name? It's like one of those like not Vice, but it's kind of like on that level. But I mean
Yep.
that particular video with my commentary on it has something like 2 million views on YouTube, and it's fucking crazy. But again, all the failures. Like I didn't find even jujitsu until like after my parents passed away because I thought like, hey, they wanted to keep me like away from struggles, and
Yep.
all that stuff, and layoffs and all this stuff and failures of personal relationships. But to finally get the very place that I fit in the most is the one that the community that I always wanted to be a part of anyway.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Martial arts is, um, yeah, it's just like a such an interesting thing that everyone that does it becomes like almost similar in a way. It's this like vibrational thing that when you get into it, it kind of like snatches you up, and then you really can't help but start to become like a better person, an individual, while you're trying to become a better martial artist. And yeah, I think that we're all super lucky. I think we're all lucky in general, but to find something that we genuinely love and then can have that connection, we just don't have like the same tribal nature that we have in the past. I mean, like probably I would think millions of years of some sort of tribal, I don't know, nature that we would have where we'd all be kind of hanging out together, helping one another achieve one goal, helping each other with our kids and stuff. And now we're all just like so disconnected, even though we're all connected with our devices and things, it's still not quite the same. So it's fantastic that we can walk inside of these four walls. They're all mostly padded, and then kind of beat on each other and, bounce ideas off of each other, maybe be creative in different ways. And then some of my closest friends and brothers and sisters and I would say are my fight family. So yeah, we're just so lucky, so lucky.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, in terms going back to the fight, right? Jesse says that he actually thought it was the elbow from the back, and John Parker feels the same way. I think if they run it back, that would come home for sure. Um, yeah, that
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. And then some guys in BJJ don't transition well to MMA, to much sports, And I think it was Rico Rodriguez, former UFC champion, that said, like he was already a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and then he basically kind of changed paths and went full on to MMA. And when he got back to jiu-jitsu after a 2-year layoff, like he felt like a white belt all over again because the game had just changed so
Definitely.
much.
Definitely, especially jujitsu evolves probably more than any of them out there. With like, especially with no gi and things. I mean, you look at like boxing for the most part. I mean, Lomachenko is doing things maybe that most people haven't seen. But if you look back in history, he's really doing a lot of stuff that almost a lot of, if not all, the greats were doing. He's maybe just like a little sharper at some of the stuff, but you watch jujitsu, man. I mean, with the leg locks that have been coming along, and then like Danaher's system and 10th Planet system, and now like I feel like there are some Australian guys and New Zealand mofos who are like changing the game up a lot too. You got like so much stuff that is evolving all the time. It's amazing. Especially the ground is just it's just crazy. You can only throw so many like spin kicks and things, but with like the transitions that you can do in jiu-jitsu with the human body, it's like I don't think it'll ever stop changing and evolving. I really don't.
Oh yeah, and I mean, and that's just like jujitsu, but like I love that this current day kind of process is one of my favorite grappling, arts that I don't think that gets a lot of respect in today's mind's eye and the evolution of combat sports is catch wrestling because you don't get
Of course.
jujitsu, right? You don't get jujitsu, without judo, Japanese judo, and British catch wrestling,
Yeah.
so. I
Yeah.
just
When
I
you
love it.
put it all together, it's like, yeah, that's the that's the probably the best of the best when you can be combining like that catch wrestling type of stuff with the ability to throw people from like a judo and then to have submissions as well on the ground with extended transitions on the ground from jiu-jitsu. Yeah, grappling is maybe the most interesting of the like dimensions of MMA.
No, for sure, man. But that I mean that's it, and I love the fact that we're all kind of taking gi versus no gi, cats versus Ten Planet versus judo versus sambo. Like it's all there for the taking and whatever, and everybody's willing. It seems like they're willing to trade that kind of like old school mentality, like oh I just have to train this one thing. That's getting kind of eroded. And yes, most people will say like oh the traditional aspects of this particular art is getting diluted. But then again, there's there's more of a feast for us to kind of dine on than there would be before, and that's the way that I choose to see it.
Yeah, definitely. And then that's kind of that interconnectivity of everything, whether it's the UFC or like, flow grappling or something like these technologies that we have that we can so many people can see fights now. It's like that what was the spin kick a couple weeks ago in the UFC? Somebody like
Yeah,
caught the kick and then spin like for sure so many people are going to be trying to do that stuff now because as soon as it happened, however many people, 2 billion people see it, and then now all those martial artists are going to start trying to utilize it. It's just, it's amazing how this game has been able to evolve so quickly and whatnot. And whether it's MMA or grappling arts or what have you, it's so fun to be a part of it, and then to kind of be like what I feel like is at my prime, where I'm able to see the evolution, and then hopefully jump on just at the right time where I can utilize some of these like amazing techniques that are coming along and just like implement them into my game. So so blessed, so can't stress that enough.
no, absolutely not. And I hopefully I don't piss anybody off, but that spin kick that we saw, yes, it is a traditional kind of taekwondo move, but it is also the same fucking insecurity that Jeff Hardy has been throwing in ladder matches for the last 20 years. So
No shit.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like almost like picture because at first I was like, that looks like either like Shelton Benjamin or even Owen Hart's Instagram, but no, that shit is Jeff Hardy. Like Jeff Hardy is fuck. So there is that.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah. Now, what also is awesome because you went from somebody that was looking for a fight after what ended up being a 8 month layoff, and now a kind of you're in the mix in terms of the bantamweight division at Taura MMA, which is I mean right now obviously Brazil, January Florida, in 11 now incarnations of this particular show and getting eyes like Fox Sports involved with it. It's kind of cool, right? Because before you were looking for a fight, now you're in championship level of competition with a worldwide organization. It's not a bad fucking place to be in, Johnny Campbell.
No, it's perfect. Perfect. It's exactly what I hoped and wanted. And it really is just building anticipation because now people got like just a little taste of cupcakes and they are so pumped to see like what I really bring to the table. They already know. So a lot of times, like you see some amazing fighter and you're like, oh, shoot, that guy just killed 10 people in a row. He's head kicking people, he's knocking people out. But it's like, yeah, well, when he's pushed to the limit, can he dig deep and stay in it. And people already know that I can. They already know. They're like, okay, yeah, this dude just comes out on 2 weeks' notice, fights one of our best Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighters that we've had over the past like 10 years, and gets in the cage, stands in front of him, and loses his friggin' ear and is still in there like wanting to continue. They already know that that part of me is signed, sealed, and delivered. So now it's just like, now get out there and perform and show them my skills along with the heart and the attitude that I bring to the table as well. So I mean, man, it's so perfect. I'm just a lucky human being. I mean, I never ever stop to work, and I stay focused. I mean, I've read so many self-help books and listened to, books on tape and watch documentaries um, and speakers and all this stuff. It's like it takes time sometimes to really like program yourself. Um, but yeah, like I really truly believe that this is just catapulting me right to the top. And I just cannot wait. As soon as this year is 100%, I'm going to be back in the gym sparring and whatnot, and you will be seeing me early 2021 and top peak physical condition and ready to just perform.
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it. Obviously, we saw a glimmer of what's to come, but I mean, full on Johnny Campbell. I mean, if that's what you could do, championship level performances and I mean, memorable highlights of your career in just 2 weeks' notice. Imagine with a 6 week fight camp. I mean, hell, I mean, if you're kind of looking at January 2021, I mean, you've got a couple months ahead of you of just consistent training while healing up your ears. So, I mean, again, we heap nothing but healing your way because we want to see more cupcakes in our
Thank
life in 2021.
Yep, you know it 100%. It'll be, pads and shadow boxing and some sprinting and lifting for now. And then as soon as it's cleared to go, I'll be in sparring and rolling and everything. So I have a tremendous plastic surgeon who works with the Massachusetts Athletic Commission, Dr. Bolinas, and he's already on board to, take my stitches out and to, just assess the situation. So I mean, it is going to be probably like better than it was before. So it already honestly is better looking. Like this was my hideous cauliflower ear that was kind of like mangled. And now that that happened, it's all kind of like nicely smoothed down. So as soon as the swelling goes down, I think I'm going to like it better than I did. It's awesome.
That's not bad. I mean, turning a negative into a positive. So, in many
Yep.
ways, I mean, getting the ugly, or ripped off, cauliflower ear gives way to, again, getting in touch with one of the best plastic surgeons your state can offer. And I mean, you're getting pretty. It'll be a lot more cosmetically appeasing, ready for prime
Yep.
time the next time Cupcake steps in the cage.
Exactly. If I had gone and got his services myself, it probably would have cost me like, thousands of dollars. And now, now I got it stitched up. It's going to be beautiful and for free.
That's amazing for free. I love it. But one thing that I mean isn't free is that I mean I guess it is in some ways, but I mean they are kind of the engine that help Johnny Cupcakes Campbell get to where you are. So I want you to get some shout outs out of the way, not just this fight, but I mean as long as because obviously it takes a village to kind of raise somebody up, and you are proof positive that that is absolutely possible. So let's get some shout outs out of the way.
Definitely South Shore Sport Fighting in Rockland, Massachusetts. Probably, I think one of the best teams in the Northeast, maybe the entire Eastern Coast in general. Bill Mahoney, the black belt there and head coach, is just like a monster game planner and student of the game. He never stops learning, and at like 50 years old, he's always learning about what is growing in martial arts. I mean, he's just never out of the loop. It's incredible the way that he does it. And then Cage Titans family. Cage Titans, I've said it before, without Cage Titans and what they helped me achieve, I would be absolutely nothing. I would be a totally average fighter who just nobody cared about. And without them, I wouldn't have been able to do what I did this weekend. The UFC gym is, I work for them and train there as well. And they just, they so freaking good to me. They just gave me the time off. They helped me get ready for the fight. They did everything that they needed to do to help me get ready for this one and for many of my ones, previous ones as well. All my friends and family, Cupcakes Nation. My girlfriend is a huge help to me. She does so much for me and keeping me focused and helping me promotionally and merchandise and things like that. She takes a lot of my photos too, which makes my Instagram way more professional. So, shout out to her as well. It's freaking awesome. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. I believe I got so many sponsors. I got some, if anybody saw the fight, they saw my banner, and I got a bunch of people who've helped fund my camps and things, and all of those companies and small businesses and whatnot. Huge shout outs and big thanks to them as well. So it really is a huge village, and that's why I can feel this like energy, and it's like this freight train that I got going is just like picking up carts. It feels like, and many of them are Brazilian right now. So obrigado so much, obrigado. I love the Brazilian people. They're all freaking amazing, huge fight fans, and they just love gritty motherfuckers, I think, and they are just like embracing me in a way that I couldn't have asked for. So obrigado.
Obrigado. I love it. I love it. But much like the Brazilian people have done over this weekend, how can people join the Cupcake Nation?
Johnny CC MMA on Instagram and Twitter, and then Cupcakes Johnny Campbell on Facebook. The website is under construction. That'll be up very soon. So Cupcakes Johnny Campbell on Facebook, and the website will be listed there. So please jump on board. It is going to be like he was my favorite fighter one day. It's like one day people are going to be looking back on my legacy and be like, yep, I knew who he was the whole time. And a lot of people are going to be catching up but then. So it's like jump on the bandwagon now so you can tell everybody in a decade like, yep, no, I knew him back when he was just getting his ear ripped off. You know what I'm saying?
That's it, man. That freight train is definitely going uphill, moving down the track, not just steady, but I mean, this shit is a supernova, man. Goodness, man. I can't thank you enough for joining so soon. And I mean, being so open. I mean, you were in Brazil, like, oh, I'm leaving tonight, but let's do something Monday. Like, I
Yep,
can't
of
thank you
course.
enough for this, my man.
Oh, get out of town. My pleasure. I love it. I mean, I'm just, the situation was such a wacky and memorable experience that I want to like tell the story too. So it's cool to reach out immediately. And I really appreciated it. A lot of people are like, oh, I didn't want to reach out right away because I was afraid. And it's like, nah, like, one thing, Richie Santiago, guy that I was down there with at one point, he was posting stuff up for me as well, and he was like sitting in the bed next to me, and he looks over, he's like, Johnny, you fucking get back to everybody, huh? And it's like, yeah, seriously, I'm trying to really be on that. I want my story to be out there, and I want to be interactive, and I like hugely appreciate this opportunity to get on here. And I love your insight and the way that you are such like a well-educated fellow about not just the fight game but like pro wrestling and entertainment in general. I feel like we really like get it, and it's just always such a fun time. So I look forward to doing it again.
Absolutely. Obviously, I mean, it goes without saying that you have a home here at According to Woods anytime you need it, my friend. And again, like, shout out to Everett Rossmer for putting us together in the first place. But I mean, it's more like a brotherhood that we're kind of forging. And again, different ends of the seaboard, but we are all kind of interconnected with this great thing of MMA and just like the human condition. Because, like, again, there's so much that can get caught up in hyperbole of like what's going on and people whatever, but like we're people, we can disagree, we can whatever, but we need
Yeah,
to be there for each other regardless of whatever.
exactly. We're all part of the human race. So yes, I think that, we got to just stay together and stay with our heads connected and never, yeah, even if disagreements, whatever, and whatnot, everybody is so different at the same time. But that's what makes us so fucking awesome, It'd be so boring if everybody was just like the same fucking person. So everyone, like we've talked about already, be yourself and be as happy as you can be, and then it's just gonna spider web out. And I think that this is a huge part of it right here.
Damn right it is, my man. But I thank you for joining us here. I thank you guys for joining us here. And if you haven't already done so, I definitely warmly encourage you to subscribing to A Port in the Woods. I mean,
Yeah.
Johnny's not it, right?
Yep. Hell yeah.
Hell yes, dude. But thank you guys for joining us. And again, if it doesn't take me, if it doesn't take Johnny Cupcakes Campbell to do it, maybe Zeta Zhang will do it. So check this out.
Hey, this is Zeta Zhang. Make sure you subscribe to According to